All right, everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Jordan J and Buddies podcast. Little bit of a change up here for the hosts. Of course, I'm one of your usual hosts, Jordan J, but I'm joined just with Brandon here.
Hey, I'm popping in no will.
Oh yeah, we kicked him out because, well, we're gonna talk the Batman, and we're gonna be talking a lot of spoilers. So if you also haven't seen it and you might want to see it, avoid this.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour 47 movie, but worth every minute. So this is your last chance. If you haven't seen it now, go watch it, then come listen.
Yes. And then either agree or completely disagree with us. Actually, I would like to hear, something opposed to what we're going to say, probably, because I haven't heard a whole lot other than I didn't like it. It's like, why? I just didn't like it. So, anyway, yeah, we'll get into this. Excuse me. So the movie. If you are going into it and you're thinking, oh, this is just a fun Batman movie, I'll take my kids. I would recommend not, just because either they're going to be bored or they're going to be very disturbed. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Riddler is a very creepy villain, my guy.
Yeah, based from what I heard on like the Zodiac Killer and things like that. So real life stuff, and he is very creepy, but very well done. So that's just this kind of movie. I think. We'll start, the overall plot is great because it is a detective story, which is something that Batman fans have wanted for so long in a film adaptation.
Yeah, dude, as a comic fan, don't get me wrong, we agree that The Dark Knight is an amazing movie.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Even the most amazing movie didn't really hit on the world's greatest detective part of Batman that we've all wanted to see.
Yeah, it teased it, but then it wasn't a whole lot, and what they did with it wasn't that good in The Dark Knight. But yeah, I'll get that out of the way now. The Dark Knight still is my top. It's still the platinum standard for me.
Yeah.
But some people that might change. Some people that's different. Some people are like, oh, the 89 Batman is the favorite one. It's like, okay, cool.
That's a good way to put it, though, the platinum standard. Because
this is
I think
gold
this
now.
is the gold standard. But yeah, The Dark Knight is still platinum overall. And again, Dark Knight is a second movie in the series, so we know this is going to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
Who knows? I feel like this movie did really well, because I feel like some people's criticisms were like, well, Batman just seems like he's Batman 95% of the movie. We don't get to see Bruce Wayne. It's like, yeah, because it's year 2. He hasn't developed the billionaire playboy persona yet.
You start to see that change at towards the end of the movie, where he's like, I can't just be beating up everybody and being this brutal force. I have to be, assigned to be a hero.
Yeah.
And then you start to see that, and that's what I did like about the ending. I'll get into the criticisms I have now for mainly the third act. Well, I don't know if it's the third act, because it does kind of break up into a little bit more acts, but overall, the general third act, it does kind of fall apart for me, which is why I didn't rank it as high. I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. Still great, but I mean, it kind of devolves into a bigger story with like the flood coming in, and it just kind of seemed too big, where the rest of the movie is really grounded and gritty. And that part kind of comes off as like a regular superhero movie.
Yeah, that's a really good way for it. For it being such a dark, gritty take, it definitely went 0 to 100, where it's just like, okay, and now this is where Batman's a superhero. Like 2 acts of it, they hit the perfect tone of between anti-hero and superhero, to where even the people he's saving, at one point he beats up the thugs and the guy's like, please don't hurt me, the guy he's saving. I really love that. But then the third act is, again, he flies down and explodes the roof and starts fighting all of them. And it's like, this kind of feels like you guys are going back to the action thing, which is fine, but like this was such a grounded movie.
Yeah, because the action that did happen in those first 2/3 it felt very fluid, and everything matched really well, and it wasn't bombastic in your face, where like a lot of movies can be that, where it's like action, and the set pieces in this aren't like over the top. They're just really good.
Yeah.
And I think, the reveal of the Batmobile, I love this Batmobile.
The Batmobile was sick, dude. Oh my God.
If you love like American muscle cars, then you're going to love this Batmobile.
I love it too, because it was like the first iteration of the Batmobile we've seen on screen, where it's like, yeah, a billionaire could really build this in his garage with his butler. It's not some high-techy thing. It's like, it's a powerful thing where when he turns it on, you hear the engine humming.
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
And it's like that turbo, and right away you get hyped, like, oh, here comes the chase.
Yes. You're like, oh, and then it's like great chasing.
Which, yeah, honestly, I've obviously, looking at the film part of it, the way they filmed that chase scene, like they hooked up two cameras to the insides of the car, so it felt like you were in the chase with them. It wasn't panning overhead or anything else. Like you felt intensity for the Penguin when he's running.
Oh yeah, and this is like a teaser for what we want to talk about later, but part of it anyways, the sound design though just in the movie in general, but that sequence, because you have like the two cars revving their engines, everything else going on, it's just so well done. And it immerses you so well into the sequence, and you're like, oh man.
I like it too, because like that Michael Giacchino's theme for the Batman is very dark in this movie. If anything, I've heard that it kind of resembles like Darth Vader's Empire Strikes Back kind of theme song in a way, is what he was trying to pull from. And I like that because it is intimidating, but especially with the chase scene, the theme goes and then it cuts off at the perfect time where like the engines are humming and shit, and then, and then hopping back in and just going constantly, and then it cuts out again, and it's so intense. Or even the opening one, when he's appearing in the shadows, I like that you hear his music, they see the bat signal, and he's reading his dialogue of like, yeah, it's a signal for me, but like it's a warning for them. And then you think he's going to pop out at first? No. And then the theme gets quiet again. And then he's going to pop up again, and no. And then by the time he finally does, it's in full swing.
Oh, yeah. That opening sequence is perfect.
It's brutal.
The noir feeling, and it just... Because we did see that in like the first trailer, him kind of beating up the thugs, but like it's just well done. And like what like... A really good thing they did too was that he is not like fighting them perfectly well choreographed kind of sequences. It's really kind of messy, and like he gets hit a lot. Yeah. There aren't like people standing around waiting in the back to kind of hit him. It's kind of all really flows really well, and that I kind of really like that about the fight sequences.
And they kept the realism in it. Like when he takes the shotgun blast to his chest, the chest plate itself, like we all kind of theorized before, oh, it might be metal. It's made of the gun that killed his parent apparently. But like when he takes the shotgun blast, it's not like, oh, superhero, he's going to keep going. He takes the blast and lays on the ground and even tries to get up to help Catwoman and can't. And I really like that small detail. I think that's where we agree is the first two acts is it's more of brutal action, and the third act is more of like spectacular action.
Yeah, because
that's the difference.
Yeah, because when he does come in, it's really cool. Like that last kind of fight sequence, because it has the classic cape flowing fire behind him. You're like, that's so bad. Sorry about the cuss too. That's so amazing, and you're just like, oh wow, and like, but then it kind of like you start to see a little bit of the green screen, not the actual green screen, but like the effect you can kind of tell, but it's still like it's not enough to be like, oh, it completely ruined the whole movie. It was just like, oh, it's sloppy at the end, but honestly, like they did try to go too big with it, and that's usually what happens. Is something you want to be like, oh, it's a flood. Like, oh, well, how are you gonna pull that off?
Yeah, I feel like they kind of tried playing in where it's like the first two acts, like, okay, we're going really deep into the comic lore, we're going everything else, and then the third one, they're like, but what if people don't think that this feels like Batman? Because I've heard that criticism. Even the dude in my theater, I stayed for the after credits even though there wasn't one, and I knew there wasn't one, but there's this dude there with his girlfriend, and he was staying there, and she was talking crap to him where she's like, dude, really? Let's go. So I was like, I gotta stay here and help this guy out and make it seem like I think there's one. And at the very end, he's like, it didn't feel like Batman to me. And I'm like, have you read a Batman comic?
Didn't feel like the Dark Knight trilogy, definitely, but it is Batman. It's very more Batman than what we've had lately. And like they meshed a lot of really great stories. I think we were talking about that. Like the Long Halloween is kind of the main storyline they're going with, but you know, elements of Hush and like Year 2 and stuff, just like a whole lot of things. It's just really good.
Yeah, I think that Matt Reeves definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, again, Jeff Loeb was his professor, and he's the one that wrote it, but I think that he did a really good job. I think Robert Pattinson did a very, very good job, because, again, the minor criticisms I had heard before I went into it was Pattinson did good, but he kind of feels one-sided. It feels like he's only Batman, and then when you watch the movie, it's like he literally tells Alfred's like, you don't care about that? He's like, I don't care about any of that. Like, he emphasizes, I don't want to be Bruce Wayne. I want to be Batman. Or not even Batman. I want to be Vengeance, because everybody through the whole movie, hey, Vengeance, what's going on, Vengeance? And then that's why when the final dude is unmasked, you're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Vengeance. That's when he snaps like, I see the influence that I'm doing. Like, yeah, I thought the Riddler was crazy for taking me as an inspiration, but it's not just the Riddler anymore, is it? Which, speaking of that, dude, Paul Dano as, I think that's his name, as the Riddler, he killed it. You know, he's a very good actor in general. Like, I've seen him in Prisoners with Hugh Jackman way back like 10 years ago. It's a great movie. But, like, he really pulls off the creepiness of Edward Nashton, which is a small Easter egg. I like that they didn't go Ed Nigma. They went Ed Nashton, which was the original appearance.
Old school with that,
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, overall, like, I just love the darkness of it. Because a lot of people, I feel like, who read Batman comics are like, this is a really messed up character that's just making his way through. But if you watch the Batman show with Adam West, which is great, Adam West is the OG, you know, or like you watch other ones, they really played up the humor, kind of played up the kookiness, because it's a comic book movie, and this is the first one. They're like, we're going to ground it. We're going to make it more akin to the comics, and we're going to cast everybody we know who have played super intense roles to come in it. Whether it's Andy Serkis or Robert Pattinson or Zoe Kravitz, they all kill it. Colin Farrell. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, like John Turturro's Carmine Falcone is just pure evil.
Dude, he was... In a way, though, he was mesmerizing. Like, every time he spoke, I was, like, drawn to the screen.
He had that gravitas. Yeah, you're just like, huh.
Yeah, definitely.
Or even why this guy's influential.
Crap.
Yeah.
Like, he's all, you really think you're going to scare me with your cape and everything else? Like, the fact that he's about to go to jail and he's still just talking to Batman, who, again, even people Batman saves are afraid of him, and this guy's just staring him straight on. Like, I'm not afraid of you, dude. Come on.
Yeah, and that's rubbing off on, like, Penguin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of that, also, Colin Farrell knocked it out of the park. My gosh,
unrecognizable, dude, in the best way possible.
Yes, like in his looks and his just over, like his demeanor, his accent and everything. It's just so good.
That's why I'm hyped, because Matt Reeves has said since then, before, because this is going to be a trilogy eventually with Robert Pattinson, but HBO's like, hey, we want you to do a couple series, kind of pulling from DC what they did with James Gunn and Peacemaker series.
Yeah,
like, we want you to do a couple, and he's like, okay, I'm going to do a Penguin series with Colin Farrell, because in my head, and this is his words, Colin Farrell's Penguin is the Scarface of the Batman universe, where you're going to see him start off as a lowlife and then build his empire, you know, which they leave it off at the end of the movie, where it's like, I know that my work's not done. If anything, the city's flooded and more criminals have come out, and then it's the Penguin already divvying up Falcone's territory.
Yeah.
And then, like, that whole series is going to be epic, and then they have a second series, which is going to be an Arkham Asylum series.
Okay. Ooh.
So yeah, because
that's the one I haven't heard about.
Yeah, originally it was gonna be, Matt Reeves had said that it was gonna follow Jim Gordon in the GCPD and kind of show Gordon, Gordon becoming commissioner. But a lot of people, including me, were like, that kind of feels like you're retreading Gotham ground.
Yeah.
And so I had heard right before the movie, no, it's evolved into an Arkham Asylum thing. I really want to develop more of the villains and their origins instead of just throwing all these villains into the movies, especially because we know, small cameo scene is, it's been confirmed, Barry Keoghan's character is the new Joker.
Yeah.
And I like that he was in it just enough to where some people are worried, like, oh, I don't want them to do Joker in a movie again. It's like, they're not. Matt Reeves has already confirmed he's going to be in the Arkham show, but they're not doing Joker. They want to do Cordell, they want to do Mr. Freeze. Hopefully they do Professor Pig.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, because if you're going to do like Joker, you kind of have to tease it, or not tease it, but like, you just got to be something bigger in name to kind of like be like, oh, well, the other one was Jared Leto, sorry. Like, of course, Heath Ledger's legendary.
Yeah.
Even Jack Nicholson, and like down to Cesar Romero. Like, each one has done their different version of it, and I think this one is going to be something different. But yeah, like, to tease him just for that part and to be like, oh, he's part of something else, not a big part of the movies, but to know that, okay, there was also like, he had deleted scenes of that Batman and Joker had that interaction before. And I was like, that's so cool. But also, I'm kind of glad they didn't put it in there.
True.
Because we have seen a lot of Joker and Batman.
I like that it opened up the question, though, that even Matt Reeves confirmed is, no, Joker in Arkham, he's not going by the Joker yet. This is just some dude that Batman had history with. And now it's like, well, what did he do that was so bad that he didn't go to regular jail? He went to Arkham, and yet he's not the Joker yet? Like, I like that development they could hit later, because, like, through all the Joker iterations, this is a random guy that just fell into a chemical vat when he was fighting Batman, and then now he's his worst enemy. I like that this develops more lore of, like, no, he already has a personal tie to Batman.
Yeah, that's always good to kind of know that they already have these interactions. And like I was telling you, it's good that a lot of the times they call them by like their comic book names, other than like Catwoman, but still like that, she's just starting out too. So it's all kind of starting out. And yeah, they were calling him Penguin, and some of the humor that is in there, you know, they made Penguin waddle.
Yeah, dude, when they tie him up and then they leave him, and he's like, "You guys, you gotta get me," and he waddles away.
That the dynamic too between Gordon and Batman is so good. So
it's
well
amazing.
Done. Yeah, like because they're just right on cue with each other, and just like it ebbs and flows so perfectly between them.
Well, I like that. Like, Jeffrey Wright, first off, is an amazing actor. Like, hands down. Is as soon as he was cast as Gordon, I was like, oh, dude, this is gonna be great. But yeah, exactly. It felt so fluent that, like, first off, I like that Batman walks onto the crime scenes and everybody's like, what's going on? And Gordon's like, he's with me, like, just super calm about it. But then on a dime, you also see Gordon lose it on him, where he's like, hey, I trusted you here. You need to listen to me. You need to keep it in check. Like, I like that they flip on it, or even like with the bat signal, that it's a very early version.
Yeah, it's not on top of the police department yet.
Yeah, we got to keep it hidden. You know, nobody knows our relationship. I'm risking my own career for this. You're just some guy. So let's put it on a construction site. And it's not even an actual bat signal. It's a piece of metal metal just kind of jammed in between the grates.
Yeah, just to kind of give that illusion of it. And so to kind of go into like the production or the film side of it, this movie is beautiful. Matt Reeves has like a history of just creating some of the most, like having a great cinematographer to make these images. And like I was telling you just a minute ago, like watch a movie called Let Me In.
Yeah, I'm going
because
to.
It looks exactly like this. A lot of like the through the windows, a dirty window, but yet you kind of everything's distorted, and it's really well just. So yeah, perfectly like mirrors that kind of what he wanted, even like the costuming and everything.
Yeah.
So
the aesthetic fits, especially because if you notice, there's not a single scene that's like fully in the day besides the funeral scene that's inside of a building. All the scenes are right at sunset, right at sunrise, or in the dark. Like, and most movies that do that, it's like, oh, DC's dark, literally. And in this case, Reeves really knew what he was doing because it felt balanced. It didn't feel like it's just, oh, you built some random city. It felt like Gotham was a part of the U.S. and it's one of the lower income cities.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because that's one of the criticisms leveled against like the Dark Knight trilogy is that, oh, Gotham isn't the character it should be. Yeah. Whereas this one you already feel immediately, because like in Batman Begins it kind of is. You feel that kind of like dirtiness and like the streets are dirty and gritty, and but this one throughout the whole movie you're just like, man, this city is something.
Yeah, and it even leads it off even worse. Is that's one of the good things. Yeah, the flood felt again like it felt like they kind of threw too much into like the third act at once, to where it felt like it escalated 0 to 100 really quick. But the fact that I liked that they didn't solve the flooding. If anything, the city's in more ruins now.
Yeah, because then those last couple shots, like their city hall and everything's like flooded to like, it's like, oh wow, it's actually flooded.
Yeah, dude. So and I do crazy. Like that they left it open because they did call, like, Riddler himself calls himself the Riddler, but they call Penguin. I like that it's not just, oh, the Penguin, is they have reason behind it where it's like, this is a derogatory term. Oz doesn't like being called the Penguin. Yeah. It's really kind of demeaning. And I am a little sad that they didn't outright call Selina Kyle Catwoman, but again, Batman wasn't even necessarily called Batman. He was called Vengeance through the whole thing. So I'm fine with that, especially because she hits it in the last line of hers where she's like, who knows, the bat and the cat. So I did like that little reference.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, I think the whole Penguin thing too, I think he'll come to kind of like own it. Yeah. Like he'll be like, yeah, I'm the Penguin, because that's the name they're going to all fear, not Oswald Cobblepot. But yeah, I think just knowing that that's how they're going to go, like they're using enough comic book stuff, but yet they're grounding it well enough to where it's not silly and goofy, and we're not going to get Arnold Schwarzenegger or Mr. Freeze.
I hope not. Like, nice to meet you.
With all the puns and stuff. Yeah, but I think that will be a challenge for them because Mr. Freeze's story is a little bit more science fiction-y, but I think they can pull it off if they do it in like a really kind of well done way. So they will have to kind of stretch the rules.
Kind of like the animated series. I feel like if they pull off that storyline for him,
that's what revitalized Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like villain. If you take him serious on like the tragic backstory, it's like he just wants to do better for the planet. Yeah. Like, he's lost his family, he's lost everything. He's just trying to
cure
help
his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited for that for sure. There's so much to look forward to in this universe, and that's one of the main things. Is I feel like this Batman trilogy that Matt Reeves is doing is going to kind of pull a similar thing that Marvel did with the Spider-Man trilogy with Tom Holland, where it's people were complaining after Homecoming, like, it doesn't feel fully Spider-Man, or even after Far From Home, like, it doesn't feel like it. But then No Way Home, and it's like, oh, it wasn't one movie being his origin story. It was the trilogy. I feel like they're doing the same thing here, where like, I'm fine with you taking your time, developing the Batman little by little, developing the villains fully, because me and you agree. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. You're a huge Batman fan.
Yeah.
The Rogues villains gallery that we have has not even been hit on so far.
Oh yeah, they've done the same kind of villains for these, going back to Batman 89. Of course, there was Joker, and then Batman Returns was Penguin and Catwoman. Yeah. Who we've seen kind of various iterations of already, and then like Batman Forever's Riddler and Two-Face.
Which Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey did not get along on set, apparently. They hated each other.
I think more Tommy Lee Jones just hated Jim Carrey, but still.
Oh, that's hilarious. Tommy Lee Jones hates everybody, let's be real.
Yeah. He's just a grumpy old man. And then like going, of course, Batman and Robin, Mr. Freeze, and Bane. Ooh, and then...
Speaking of that, dude,
a little bit of Venom.
Yeah, it's like when I first seen that he had it in his suit, like Batman's down and about, and then when he injected it, my first thought was, oh, so he has adrenaline in his suit, and then I snapped right after, that's not green. Adrenaline, that's the Bane Venom serum.
Yeah, that's green. Because I saw that, I was like, is that green? Is that Venom? Bane.
I'd be so excited to see Bane in the future, dude.
A Brazilian Bane with a proper mask. I like Tom Hardy's Bane, but It was just kind of a little too. Yeah, it was just a little too off. I think they got his physicality and his kind of his strategic mind right, but yeah, just I think a more true to form Bane would be awesome.
I feel that's why I'm just as excited, because I do feel like eventually they are going to introduce Two-Face, but I feel like he won't be Two-Face until like the third one. Is I could see now that D.A. Coulson got killed by the Riddler in this. I feel like that kind of opens the door for like in the next one you could be like, hey, here's the new DA, Harvey Dent. And then the third one you could have him go through his accident or whatever else, and now he's Two-Face, and have him kind of like the Penguin in this film, or like Carmen Falcone, where he's not the main villain, but he's there enough to kind of be a thorn in Batman's side.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think we were talking about like the main difference too now, because this one is just starting out, so yeah, we're seeing all these little threads going here and there, but but what I liked about this, what they're doing with it, and what they did with The Dark Knight was that it's Batman contained.
Yes.
They're not like, hey, well Superman, let's go see Metropolis or whatever. Other than like more Batman, because like Catwoman also mentions Bloodhaven.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Nightwing takes over there. So Nightwing is like, I think my second favorite like comic book character. So if they do a proper, because we had Nightwing and Titans, but for another thing, I don't like Titans. I'm gonna do a whole episode of that.
I'm with you there, dude. Titans is not a good show.
It's so maybe we can just talk about that sometime.
Well, it also fits that Nightwing in the comics is introduced, like Batman adopts like a version of him in year 3. Yeah. And again, this was a year 2 storyline, so they've definitely set certain things up.
Yeah, because we haven't had Robin since Batman Forever.
Yeah, like they set him up at the end of The Dark Knight Rises for Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, but like,
he was more
you never
just
saw him.
Not really. He was just Robin, kind of in name only.
Yeah, like, oh, your legal name's Robin. What a plot twist! You get the Batcave to yourself because I might be dead, might not. Like,
yeah, and it's like
okay.
And then even that, it's just kind of he's just the next Batman, pretty much. So
yeah,
which Nightwing does do eventually at some points in the comic, but yeah, if they do Nightwing, that'd be great. A better like. Even that they spin off into the Bat Family kind of drama things, bringing in Red
cool.
Hood,
yeah,
Batgirl, hopefully a different version, because I don't know what they're doing with like the DCEU Batgirl, or I don't know what she is, if she's, because anyway,
I have no idea what DCEU's doing, dude. They don't know what they're doing either.
I'm done with the DCEU.
Like, as much as you want to bash MCU, let's be real here. They're still superior to DCEU.
I have not been like on the DCEU train really ever, other than like Wonder Woman. Yeah. I like Man of Steel, but it's just not a good Superman movie.
Yeah, and then him killing Zod is, again, as a comic fan, I was like, no, Superman doesn't kill. What are you talking about?
You picked the wrong character to give him a dark and brooding thing. But anyway,
but they picked the right character now.
Yeah,
definitely.
Finally, yeah. I mean, good director for it too. I mean, I've always liked Matt Reeves. Like I told you, I was like, I'm kind of worried because he is from the J.J. Abrams kind of tree, and I don't really like J.J. Abrams, so I was like, okay, well, Matt Reeves has always kind of done his own thing, and he's never had that kind of influence.
Yeah,
and I like the Planet of the Apes movies are great. Well,
they're amazing.
The first one wasn't him, and that's probably the weakest of the 3.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Let Me In is really good. What else has he done? I'm trying to think of it now, but anyway, yeah, he was a perfect man. When I heard he was directing, I was like, oh, yes.
Well, it was also when he came out too, is right away he's like, this is just Batman. It's not another universe. And then they even asked him afterwards, like, oh, would you do a movie for Marvel, or would you cross Robert Pattinson's Batman over with other DC characters? He's like, listen, I have full props for these properties that are able to link their stuff together. I don't want to have the responsibility for that. I want my story to be my story, and I don't have to worry about other people interfering with their own concepts. And honestly, as big of a fan I am of the MCU, it is kind of nice, I agree, to see a secluded, grounded story with just the one character and his characters within his storylines instead of all these other people.
Yeah, you're not even trying to bring in like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker or anything like that.
Thank God.
Yeah, because I do love that movie, but and like I heard talks of a Joker sequel. I was like, don't do that. It's not necessary.
Yeah, I've heard that apparently the one thing they're trying to do, the one way they have me convinced, because I'm a critic of the Joker movie, I feel like it's a good movie, but I feel like to call it a Joker movie, like, nah, the dude just kind of cries for 90% of the movie. It kind of irritates me. But I've heard that the sequel, they want Willem Dafoe in it, supposedly. Willem Dafoe said, where he's like, they left it where he's not in his, or he's in his head, you don't know if it's real. I'd love to play a Joker impersonator, and it's like a Joker versus Joker movie. And I'm like, I could see that, but even then, why? Why? Just stop. Just stop. We've got a lot of Joker, especially now that another Joker's teased. Don't oversaturate the market with Joker, please.
Yeah, because then like we still like,
But I mean, at
that
least they
would
did
be
the
interesting.
Riddler in this one instead of the Joker. A
Yeah.
lot of people thought when this movie was first announced that they right away would have jumped to the Joker, but instead you get a very, very dark take on the Riddler. Like, it's not some kooky guy that's making jokes and stuff. Like, he actually takes his riddle seriously.
Yeah.
You understand his view because, yeah, he's going about it all wrong, but at the end of the day, he's fighting against the corruption
Yeah.
and the lies and everything else. So if anything, you can kind of argue that the Riddler succeeded in his plans.
Yeah.
But I really like that Matt Reeves pulled elements from David Fincher's Seven, to where it's like, again, like you said, like he has ciphers just like the other dude, or he kind of gives himself up in the second act and still plays with them.
Yeah.
I love the interrogation scene because that was a twist. Is even in the trailers, we're like, really, you're gonna reveal in the trailers that he knows who Batman is, and then plot twist, he doesn't, or does he? But he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't really, and like, cause yeah, he does that really kind of creepy Bruce Wayne. You're like, oh, and then you see like Batman just like freaking out. He's like, it's gonna.
Yeah, he's looking at the security cameras like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then he's just like, he's the one person we haven't got yet. He's like, oh, and he switches back into being Batman. He's like, I'm gonna,
And at the same time, you snap where you're like, oh yeah, because he left a letter for the Batman after Alfred opened the bomb,
Yeah.
so he doesn't know. But then theory is now that he's in Arkham talking to the Joker and stuff is after he sees this play out. I've heard the theory of, well, he sent Batman to the orphanage and Bruce Wayne didn't die, so the Riddler being the Riddler probably put two and two together and went, if Bruce Wayne never leaves his tower,
yeah,
and I sent the Batman out here, and this is the one time Bruce Wayne's not existent, maybe Bruce Wayne is the Batman, you know?
Yeah, man, yeah, it is a very good movie. Like I said, it just lost points because of that third act.
Yeah.
Which
I'll agree with you there, honestly.
But yeah, it's overall though the Batman movie, like, that's very different that we've, like, Batman fans, just comic book fans in general, wanted, because people knowing, a general sense of Batman. If you like comic books and you're like, oh yeah, I know Batman enough to be like, this is something that he is about solving, what's going on, instead of just running in, fighting a bunch of criminals, that are masks and saving the day, but
yeah,
he's more about, more meticulous kind. And it is a very long, that is another criticism I'll lay against it. Some of that, it could have been cut down a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been like 2.5 hours instead of 2 hours 50 minutes.
Because some of the shots like linger a little too long, and you're like, I get it, and this is a very gorgeous shot, but cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, like that club is sick, but can we move on from all the crowds of people now?
Yeah, but yeah, it's and I like that they kept the red aesthetic throughout.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's really good, because it is kind of that where he's really brutal and sees red probably a lot. So
yeah,
it matches, and I'm hoping that if Mr. Freeze is like a villain in the next one, the next kind of like marketing color palette will be blue.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Well, I like too. Pattinson came out and he's like, a lot of people view Batman's no kill rule, like even the Peacemaker series makes a joke about it that he doesn't kill, but it's like most people are like, yeah, Batman doesn't kill because at the end of the day he's still a superhero, and Pattinson's like, no, I view it as there's that fine line where like he doesn't know how far to take it, but at the same time like he has to draw back at the last minute. So it's not so much of he's like, oh, I'm not going to kill you. It's more of he realizes right before he's at that last blow, like, oh, I need to stop.
Yeah.
And you see that in the fight
You really
scene.
do see it. And like it freaks out Catwoman. She like backs up. She's like, oh my. And like everyone is like, what are you doing? Like, calm down.
Well, even when he takes the Bane serum, how he gets on top of that one dude, just goes and goes, and Gordon literally has to grab him and throw him
off. And he's
off.
ready to take on Gordon.
Yeah, he like
until he realizes.
But I do like that. Like I love the darkness of it. I like the tech too.
Yes.
Honestly, is a lot of people
Grounded.
have overhyped Batman's tech, exactly. But like those contact lenses, dude, that are cameras, that's the perfect balance of grounded. Where it's like, yeah, this is technology that literally in the real world as of 2022 is being worked on. So like not far fetched, but good enough. Or like even again, the Batmobile seemed like it was built.
Yeah,
like it was actually built. It's not some techie thing with all these gadgets, and it doesn't talk to him yet. Yeah, but. It just felt very grounded.
His emblem is also a knife.
I love that, dude. His emblem is the gun that killed his parents, and it's a knife.
Yeah, and then like we were talking about earlier, the shotgun blast, because they're saying, oh, he wears that, so that's where they automatically try to shoot, and that's the strongest point of his armor. So and even though it did take him down, it still didn't kill him. But his tech is like very grounded, but like I said, his fighting style grounded. He's just kind of nothing like too fancy, no karate moves or nothing like that. He's just punching people.
Which it makes sense because they hit on that is like the question is, so I don't know if you pronounce it Razal or Rajal. I've heard
Rajal,
both.
yeah.
But people are like, okay, so Ra's al Ghul wasn't in this film. Like, did Batman not get the training? And it's like Alfred hits on it with the single line where he's like, I taught you how to fight.
I taught you how to fight.
I like that he doesn't
boxing.
know necessarily karate or anything. It's literally street fighting.
Yeah.
And that is one minor complaint I'll have. I get why they did it, but like, I wish Alfred was in it more because Andy Serkis is a great actor.
Yes.
And I get external world factors. A lot of people seem to forget they filmed this at the same time he was filming Venom Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
So he was back and forth between sets. I like that Alfred felt more of a balance. Like, yeah, he still was kind of a father figure, but he felt more like Bruce Wayne's partner for once.
Yeah.
Not some condescending guy that's like, Mr. Wayne. He's like, okay, if this is what you're going to do, I guess this is how I help you.
Yeah. And there wasn't too much like unnecessary like banter, which some of them can get to. I also think like Jeremy Irons would have been a great Alfred if we had seen that played out more.
He would have been awesome.
Yeah, and I would have been, because they actually like they did that well. For as bad as Batman vs Superman is, some things about it are really good.
Yeah.
But there's just too much bad to give that movie too much credit. But yeah, I really wish Andy Serkis was in there. I'd be like, hey, go ahead. You don't have to do Venom.
Honestly, though, I had such high hopes, and then I was like, oh yeah, Sony.
Yeah,
Sony.
And that's what I was worried about this too. I was like, oh, WB, they're the worst at interfering with these movies, and they seem like they just let him kind of make it.
Well, that was the big reason why I'm here and Will's still not, is Will hasn't seen it yet as of this recording, because he was among that where he's like, it just doesn't
the DC movies
feel
haven't
important, exactly. It's like, especially studio interference, DC is always heavy-handed, and especially Warner Brothers. I don't know if they're gonna do it, and it's like, nah, Matt Reeves has the final say. He's Matt Reeves.
Yep. I mean, and that's kind of why I think Christopher Nolan doesn't, like, he's not with WB anymore, because like they're not letting me make my movies. So, and that's what always kind of sucks. Studio interference. Sony, of course, missing with Spider-Man 3, and so that's a bigger problem that I've always had with just Hollywood in general now lately. But
where it's let the director direct. If you're gonna be the people cutting the check, that's all you should be there for. You shouldn't have a say on, well, what if he did this? Like, no. Give me the funding and I'll make you a good movie. Yeah,
because it's a business, and they're like, oh, how much is that gonna make us any money? It's like, just let me make it and we'll see.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I also get them being like, well, we're giving you $2 million plus dollars to make this, so
we know what you're doing.
We need So I get that, but also kind of I'd prefer them just to be like, okay, well, we'll give you less money if I can have more creative control, type of thing. And but yeah, I'm glad that this didn't have too much of it. It didn't seem like it had any, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there was some. From what I heard, he had a 4-hour long cut.
Yeah, so that's what I was hearing too.
So you trying to be Zack Snyder?
Pretty much, honestly, and that's why HBO was like, okay, you cut down your movie, but can you do 2 TV shows for us? We want that content.
We want the rest of it in here, yeah.
But no, I just can't really sing praises enough for this, because I've always been, growing up, like, I always heard, like, who's your favorite superhero, Spider-Man or Batman? I'm like, Batman's not a superhero. He's a hero, but to me, he's always been more of the vein of anti-hero, because he's dark.
He's more a vigilante than just kind of, really dark. And like, he, like, even, like, a lot of the, like, Justice League iterations, he's never ever been like, I'm a member of it. It's just kind of everyone looped him in with it. And even, like, I can't recommend watching both the animated series of Justice League enough, because that tells the stories of them perfectly. And even in those, he's not like, it's like, I'm not a member, he's like, I'm just here to help you guys when you need it. And even in that, like, if they can do that well, because I think in Zack Snyder's, he did a good job of being a leader finally. Yeah. But in the original one, he's just kind of like there, and it's like, we try not to talk about it, but yeah, he's just kind of there. But what they really do well with Batman in Justice League kind of iterations is he's a very important part of it, and he adds what he can and holds his own when he knows he's got super beings around him.
Exactly, but he's not over here at the same time like, time to call the Justice League.
Yeah.
Like, I do like that, because I agree with you. I grew up like with the DC animated stuff with my uncle, and DC kills it when it comes to animation.
Oh yeah, dude. I got DC, some of them here.
I love that. Yeah, I'm like, between Batman the animated series, which I do like, again, I think that's one of the reasons why we both like this tone felt like the last time we struck this tone was the Batman the animated series. Yeah. To where it really balanced, like, yeah, he has a little bit of the detective work, he is a hero, but at the end of the day, it really feels like a villain's movie to me. Is like the criticism I hear where people are like, it doesn't feel like a Batman movie. Is that necessarily a bad thing?
Yeah, I mean, no, because this isn't a big blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's not that. It's a grounded detective story, a crime drama and that's what people like loved about The Dark Knight is it's a crime drama, but with a lot of heavy action in it. And I think they've both done just an amazing job with telling these stories. Obviously, both very different, but different kind of like director style. So it's great. Yeah, we can. We will like it is just a lot of praising, but we'll have our criticisms for it as well.
Definitely. And I don't know if you heard that Matt Reeves was devastated because apparently when he was writing the script right away, he was like, I want Robert Pattinson for this. Because he saw him in one of the movies and was like, I want him in this. Mm-hmm. And then Robert Pattinson got cast in Christopher Nolan's Tenet. And yes. So Matt Reeves' thoughts were, that's the main dude I wrote this around, and now he's going to the director of the previous, again, platinum standard of Batman movies. I don't know if he's going to want to be Batman. And Christopher Nolan was the one that was like, nah, take him, dude. Like, I have full faith in you. And he's even given his review where he's like, I love Matt Reeves' take. I want to see where he goes from here. And it's like, hey, man, if the Godfather of Batman is giving you the approval, I'm so hyped for the future.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I think if they allowed, like, Zack Snyder to kind of push a Batman off, we could have seen like a live action version of The Dark Knight Returns, which that is my favorite Batman like story in the comic books, and like I have the animated version, which is also great. But I think that would have been cool to see. But also seeing a Batman like reaching to when he gets to his prime is something we also haven't seen. We saw it in The Dark Knight, but that trilogy kind of his beginning and like his middle
did time jumps.
Yeah, and it time jumped a little bit too much to where they wanted the old Batman Return thing, and it was like it just seemed a little too forced.
Yeah.
Whereas I think this one will be like, hey, year 2, then like year 3 hopefully, and it's not like, and he is kind of getting into his prime, and that's when we want to see peak Batman. Older Batman is cool because he's grizzled and like he kind of also doesn't care. But
oh yeah, dude, a Batman Beyond story would be dope.
Oh, Batman Beyond story, gosh.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, man. Anyway, so we're singing praises, and hopefully they take this in a direction that ups everything, but not like so much in the action, but just kind of storytelling.
Yeah, keep it grounded. That's the biggest thing is like at the end of the day, write the story and then build the set pieces around the story, not the other way around.
Oh, yeah, because it's a lot of the older comic book movies had that problem.
Yeah, because I have heard, like, again, Matt Reeves is on record saying, I want to develop a lot of Batman's villains. He has a great rogues gallery, and me and you fully agree on that. Is, again, I said it earlier, but Batman and Spider-Man have so many villains that have not been hit on or have not been done justice right. So I like that, like, this movie developed, because when you hear, it has Carmine Falcone and the Riddler and the Penguin and Catwoman, you're like, that's a lot of people to throw into one movie. But like they were developed so well to where like the Arkham series is already, I would love to have Harleen Quinzel in there. Not Harley Quinn yet, but Harleen Quinzel. I would love to have the Scarecrow, but he's not the Scarecrow yet. He's still a psychiatrist at Arkham. Yeah, exactly. Like testing his fear serum. Like there's so much room to grow on this that like I did not think I was going to be this hyped for this Batman moving forward. But I am. Yeah,
the first viewing, like, I was just, like, so high because I was on the high. Just high on the movie.
High on the movie.
Yes. But, like, we were leaving and, like I was trying not, because I try not to, like, just talk about it when we're leaving the actual theater.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, people still, like, might be going to see it. But, and then, like, we got outside and my brother, because he always asks me afterwards, and he's like, yeah, what do you think? I was like, that was really good. That was so good. And like I wasn't like letting it all out, but I got in the car and I was driving home and I was like, oh, I love that movie. It was so good. I was just like singing praises. But like, I mean, it is something that I would like to see in IMAX just for the spectacle of it, knowing that like it does have its flaws like most things, but I just that spectacle. I saw Spider-Man No Way Home in IMAX. I was like, I gotta see this one.
Worth it.
Yes,
worth it.
That was very worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I feel you. If anything, let's take Will to the IMAX show.
Yeah,
Will, buddy, you gotta come to this.
We'll go to IMAX. But yeah, definitely recommend. So if you got this far, you probably already seen it, hopefully. But if you heard us spoil everything and you still want to check it out, I think it definitely is worth it.
Funny how there's those people out there that are legit like, you know what, I don't care, I'm gonna. Will was even like that, where he's like, no, I'll stay around in here, and we're like, dude, we're not gonna spoil this if this gets spoiled for you.
Yeah, because like even my other brother, he was like, so he asked me, he's like, how was it then? I was like, oh, it was really good. And then like my cousin who went, she's like, yeah, it was cool. And and he's like, yeah, I don't know, like, he's like, I don't know, how many times can you make a Batman movie that's good? And I was like, they did it.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, when it's not in the same tone and not in
Yeah.
the same setting and not even remotely the same people running it, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's been now with this year about 10 years since The Dark Knight Rises, so it's been a while.
Oh my gosh, time flies. We're old, man.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea.
I remember seeing those in theater.
Oh, yeah, same here. We saw 'em. I didn't see Dark Knight and Midnight, but yeah, I remember Dark Knight Rises and Midnight, and like, oh, anyway, yeah,
It was great. But yeah, honestly, best praise I can give is Matt Reeves achieved such a well, Matt Reeves and the cast. We keep saying Matt Reeves,
Yeah.
but obviously the cast kills it too.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a movie without the cast doing their part.
Mm-hmm.
But they left it in the perfect balance where it fits as a solo Batman movie. It makes me excited that it's in a trilogy plus some TV shows and stuff. But they left it to where it's developing perfectly. He's going to develop the true Batman persona. He's going to develop the Bruce Wayne persona. And even though this is a world's greatest detective storyline, arguably him and Gordon were messing up a lot, and the Riddler really had to kind of get them on the right path down to like, he didn't even know it was a carpet tool until the guy was like, oh yeah, my uncle uses that. So like, oh, what a coincidence. That's one of the things like, oh, superhero coincidence. Huh?
Yeah.
But I like that they left that open to where if they wanted to do another detective story, you could show how he's even honing his skills more there. Like, there's so much to open. And then again, Gordon, even at the end of the movie, yeah, he's making calls, but he's not commissioner.
Yep.
He even asks, who's in charge here? And they're like
we don't
it's
know.
chaos here. We don't know. And he's like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. Like, I like seeing him take on the role, but it's still like, it didn't feel forced, you know? It didn't feel like, again, I love The Dark Knight. We both do. Again, platinum standard. But some parts of that really felt kind of forced or kind of time gapped on it, where it's like, oh, he's already Batman after one movie fully. Like, I feel like it'd be a little more natural progression with the timeline you're drawing here.
Yeah, because it does jump a little bit too much. But yeah, definitely like seeing like him. Anyway, I can go on talking about each individual character and all their stuff.
But even then,
but it's just like,
but you gotta go see it. I mean, obviously you've already seen it if you're listening to this, but go see it again and again and again. I'm gonna buy this movie, dude. I'm gonna buy it when it drops.
4K steelbook if I can get it. But but yeah, and I mean already opening weekend 250 million.
Yeah, dude, right below Spider-Man No Way Home. Right below it. And I'm like, people want to say, and even me, I'm like, haha, Spider-Man's still supreme. But at the end of the day, hey, we had a lot of rumors of like Toby and Andrew appearing, or like we knew the villains that were coming in and everything else, versus this. Pattinson openly said, I'm surprised I didn't get more criticism and backlash when I was casted, you know? Like, everybody still thinks that I'm Twilight guy. Like, guys, go watch The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, because that is the guy that is playing Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
there's some other, like, I can't remember their names, but there's some other, like, indie movies he's done. He hasn't done anything, like, big budget since Twilight.
Yeah.
And now this, but, yeah, he's done indie movie, and, like, even though I had not seen him, and I haven't seen Twilight, I was like, I think this guy has the acting chops to get it done. Like, even the small clips I've seen of him, I was like, he can do it. And I trust Matt Reeves more than you know, when he saw something in Pattinson, so I was like, okay, check it out.
That's why him and Daniel Radcliffe are the two that like did a big blockbuster movie and not necessarily hate their stuff or whatever. Pattinson hates his stuff, but they afterwards were like, I want to do indie movies. I want to do stuff on the low. And so I really did enjoy the casting choices overall in this.
Yeah. Stellar job all around. Just, you know, like I said, it is not a kids movie, so don't expect going into
not at all,
because they're gonna get bored, or they're just gonna be like, I have a nightmare.
They might get scared. Yeah, honestly, like the Riddler even creeped me out a little bit.
Because there's the scene where they go into the old Wayne Manor and there's like drop heads in there, and it's just like jump scares. You're like, oh my gosh, it's a horror movie.
Or even when Riddler's giving his speeches, because that's the other thing is Riddler's traps, dude. Like I had heard going in, like, oh, it's kind of Batman with Seven with Saw, and it hit all 3 points, because like they don't show the actual kills fully, but like Riddler is so calm in his delivery, and then at one point he just flips out on it. And even me in my seat was like, oh my god, this guy's yelling at me. Like,
I mean, I'll still say Heath Ledger did it better in Dark Knight, but still, they did a good job with this one. And I think
Heath Ledger's a legend, man.
I still remember, like, I'm gonna go nostalgia here, but I still remember seeing that scene in like theaters, and it just like dead silence afterwards, and people were just like, oh my god, this guy's gonna kill us all. So anyway,
it's great.
So
I think that's the praises we can sing. We've given minor criticism. We can't act like it's all praise. I've given legit criticism. So have you.
Like I said, a solid 8.5 out of 10.
I'll agree with that. 8.5, 9, but it's not the full 10 of 10 The Dark Knight is.
Yeah, it's hard to beat, but anyway. For
PG-13, felt like R.
Yes, they really pushed that rating. because immediately he Joker or Riddler's coming in beating the guy in the back of the head with a carpet tool. So.
Yeah, popping up Michael Myers status in his house.
Yep. So,
but
anyway, yeah. Of course, Brandon, where can people find you?
My Instagram, my brand name at CanvaButter, CanvaButter. Same as always. Good art, good food, good times.
Oh yeah, definitely. Check him out. All of it's good.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna plug my stuff.
Nah, you gotta plug your stuff. Jordan's got his photography page, Jordan J. Begay. You can follow us on I say our, I'm just a guest here, but the Jordan J. and Buddies podcast. The dude's killing it in all avenues. Go give him some support.
Oh, we're trying. Hopefully, we can get more consistent with the episodes, but it's a lot of fun, and we enjoy doing this. So, and that's
I'm like, life's sporadic, so the episode should be sporadic too.
Yes, it mirrors our lives very well. Anyway, yeah. Give us a follow. Give us your feedback, because that's kind of something I've been longing for, to hear what people think of the podcast. If they want different conversations, what kind of conversations you guys said you had from people that they like the debates, the kind of fun debates that you guys had, and so things like that. And we just did our own kind of experimental little debate thing about MCU, but I mean. Yeah, so we'll always try different things.
Exactly.
We got an episode of Letterkenny coming up.
Yeah, we even got like we had teased. We want to do more stuff on like the actual music for movies.
Yeah, just like breaking down
cinema
pieces of the cinema feel, because that's what I've always loved, and I just love talking about it. Anyway, all right.
I feel it. Well,
I don't know how to do an outro with Will.
Yeah, Will's usually the one that's like, so we're gonna start the outro.
Yeah,
so I guess
does it so well.
I guess we're gonna start the outro here, where it's Will. I know you're listening to this. Go watch the movie.
Yes. Hopefully you're leaving the IMAX theater with us, and you're smiling just as much as I did when I first saw it.
Yeah, dude. Well, honestly, a lot to look forward to. I appreciate it. Both podcasts and movies. Later, Jordan.
Later, guys.